Thank you for joining me on my workshop. I'm going to teach you how to do a web assessment for my dissertation. And we're just going to go through this pretty informally. Okay, so just to give you a heads up, I want to give you a little bit of background on my research. So my research proposes to identify the factors that contribute to the cultural characteristics of sustainability among higher education institutions, which from now on I call HEIs, in the United States, to shed light on how they represent themselves as sustainability. I have three objectives. The first objective is to document 4-year higher education institutions in the U.S. that self-identify as sustainable. And I've already done this, and I found that there are about 1,280 environmentally sustainable universities out of the 2,794 U.S. Higher educations that have an environmentally sustainable entity, such as a sustainability office, an academic department or program, and or a research center. And then in my second objective, which is what we're going to be focusing on, I'll be evaluating how these institutions portray themselves to society as being sustainable. And then the third objective, which we don't need to worry about, is to analyze spatial and regional patterns of HEI sustainability in the U.S., which means I'll be creating maps to show my results. Okay, and just to kind of give you an idea, this is what I have found in the first objective. This is a draft of the map. It is not perfect, and the data is not complete, but it's at least going to kind of show you where I'm going with this. Okay, so objective 2 is evaluating sustainability efforts at each environmentally sustainable 4-year university in the U.S. using a web assessment tool. And so this is a self-created web assessment tool that I came up with. And the focus is environmental sustainability, but we're also going to be looking at social sustainability with like 1 to 2 questions. Okay, so some background on this, just a heads up. In 1999, Robert Taylor came up with this idea for a survey analysis of environmental sustainability in higher education, and he did this through online web assessments, but he only had 4 variables. And so he did, does the institution display an interest in the natural environment in its mission statement? Does the institution list or discuss any environmental projects? Does the institution have an environmental major or multiple environmental majors? And then does the institution engage in environmental outreach? And then he scored this. So this was, of course, in 1999, and also he only used 4 variables, where I'm using 40 variables, approximately 40 variables plus the keyword section, which is extremely important. Okay, so I kind of break sustainability in higher education down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different sectors. So there's framework, faculty and staff development, education and research, on-campus experiences / student life, outreach and services, operations, which would deal with like recycling, things like that, dining experience would just be sustainable dining, transportation, dealing with transit systems, environmental or electric vehicle charging stations and things like that, or if they have walkability, and then assessment and reporting, meaning if they're going to show that they are self-reporting and self-assessing their sustainability efforts and then making that available to people. And so my whole idea is that, of course, sustainability in 1999 was important because Taylor did it, but the internet wasn't as great in 1999 as it is now, and so it's become even more important when students are trying to pick a university. It's important for them to go, of course they're going to go on the internet and look at the university that they are potentially applying to, and so it's important that the university's website, sustainability website, showing their efforts. And also it's really hard to define what sustainability is, and so through this it's very easy, and I can do this throughout the nation using the internet. It's very important to see how what they portray sustainability as. And because there is social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and then economic sustainability. And so most people, when they think of sustainability, they focus on the environmental aspect, or when they're at least advertising that they're sustainable. Typically it's going to be environmental, but you're supposed to take a 3-tier approach. And so the 3-tier approach is that you're focusing and looking at sustainability from an environmental aspect, social aspect, and then of course everybody's going to try to be economically sustainable. And if I don't give a definition of exactly what sustainability is, it's because it's really hard to define. There's at least over 90 formal definitions of sustainability. Okay, so conducting the web assessment. So step one is going to be using a Google search engine, and if you want to use something different, you can, but I've been using the Google search engine. You'll just search the name of the university, then put in the state if you need to. If it's got the University of Southern Mississippi, you really don't need to put University of Southern Mississippi, Mississippi Sustainability. And you really wouldn't need to put Harvard University's, and then the state. And then you put plus sustainability and or environmental. So typically you can just put sustainability in, but then if I don't find anything, I go in and put environmental. And Google search engine is really good about, if I put in sustainability, it's going to pull up environmental anyways. Okay, so only use HEL websites in the assessment. Do not use an article from another source. So if there is an article by, I don't think the New York Times is going to cover it, but if the New York Times wrote an article about Southern Miss bringing recycling on a campus, don't use that because it's not a USM website. So that would not go towards it. So you'll not need to go past page 2 of the Google search engine results. Typically, you can go to the second one and look, but mostly everything is going to be on the first page when you find the results for this. Step 2 is you're going to be going through the web assessment tool and answering all 40 questions in the web assessment tool, and then providing sustainability related keywords, which is column AT. And there's multiple ways to do so. You can kind of figure out the way you want to do it. I think I'm going to just go in, tell you everything, and then we'll kind of go over possible ways to do this. Okay, so conducting web assessments. Alright. So how I've been conducting websites is I carry around a small notebook that I got from TJ Maxx, and then I will go and use the Google search engine, search it, and then start going through the websites. And then, because I've gotten pretty good at it, and if you do get good at it, you'll know what's on the web assessment tool, and I just start writing down everything that I see that I need to write down, and this will make sense more in a second. So I write everything down on paper, or if I'm at home and I have my computer, I will open up the Excel spreadsheet, and then I go to the column that has the keyword section, and I will just go in and start writing in my keywords, and then on a piece of paper going in and filling in aspects that are going to be in the rest of it. And then after that, so if I'm not at my computer and maybe I'm on my phone, I'll go into Excel and then fill out the spreadsheet. But typically, I'll do it in a notebook if I'm away from my computer. If I am not away from my computer, I'll just go in, open Excel, start filling out the keywords as I'm going along, and then have that notebook next to me so I can just go in and write electric vehicle charging station, bike share program. They have sustainability dining initiatives and things like that. Also, at the end of it, if you can't find anything that's, if you're missing variables and you're not seeing it, and you want to save some time, you can put in University of Southern Mississippi beekeeping to see if they have an apiary project going on campus. Or if you want to, it's typically not. It's not always going to be the easiest thing to find electric vehicle charging station. And I'll also, the thing with the electric vehicle charging station one, which I'll kind of get into later when we go through that section, is that sometimes people don't talk about that they have charging stations on there, but they'll say that they have an electric vehicle fleet. So I don't count those two things as the same thing. Alright. And so conducting the website is going to depend on the website. All websites are going to look pretty different. Some of them are going to list out all their initiatives, such as we see right here, where they'll just kind of go through and tell you what they have, and that's going to save some time, where other ones you're going to have to kind of go around and search. Okay, and this is just my notebook. I just wanted to give you an idea of what I have. So I'll go in, put the name. I put the date on there just so I kind of know when I'm doing it, and then as I will go through the website pages, I'll just start writing things down. So all these hashtags, anything that's a hashtag is what is a keyword for me. So they have a community garden. I think community garden is going to be, obviously it has community in it, so it's community outreach. So this counts for community outreach, and they also have a garden on campus. News is an important one. If they have a little news section, and it'll say news on there, put that down. Um, and then, just a heads up, we'll kind of go over the keywords. The keywords is probably one of the most important parts because it's covering anything that is not in the web assessment tool. And feel free to put as much as you want to into the keyword section. If you're nervous about something and you don't really know if it fits, just go ahead and throw it. I've put so much. I fill it up, and I have to go through anyways and empty stuff out. So, academic programs, I'll talk about this, but I try to go in. Some university sustainability website pages are going to list the sustainability majors that they have on campus. Other ones, I will just go out of the sustainability website page, and that's the only time I do go out of the sustainability website page, and I'll just go and look up University of Southern Miss degree programs, and that way I look for programs that have environmental conservation or sustainability in them. Okay, this is how the Excel spreadsheet looks. You're not going to get this Excel spreadsheet because I have broken it down into spreadsheets of 50, but I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up. So at the top, you're going to have name, state, all this is going to be filled in. Name of the university, the state, acronym-wise. Sustainable is going to say yes or no. So all of these on here should say yes because I've kind of gone through and separated everything. But as you go through, some of these are going to end up changing. So some universities will drop their sustainability department or entity, while other universities, because I collected all this data from 2018, some of the universities are not even going to exist. So if you don't see anything to do with sustainability, just go in and change this and put no, and then give a reason why. So you can say no, nothing since 2015, no sustainability initiatives. They have sustainability initiatives, but not a staffed office found. So here it was just like they just had a short page talking about recycling, so that wouldn't count. It has to have a sustainability entity, which would be an academic department, a staffed office, or a research center. And it can have all of those, that's fine. And then you'll just go in and start filling these through. Anything that's in gray are things that I figured out after I had already started the web assessment that aren't the most effective questions or variables. One of those is going to be because it's off of Taylor's, and I'm not going into the mission statement of every university to see if they're including environmental sustainability. Some universities are going to say on their sustainability page that they have put it in their mission statement, the university mission statement, and that's where you can fill it out. But if it doesn't say it, then don't worry about it. So the grays do not have to be answered. So yeah, so this one won't be answered because this is going to be dealing with the stars, which I'll explain in a second, but I'm going to get that after I complete this. So it will not be on, you do not need to worry about putting that because we're not going to have a star score on there. Now, if you do see the stars symbol, which I'll go over, you'll fill out this and then you'll tell me why. But if you don't see it in there, you'll say no and then not available. And then this is, I'm going to fill out this. The O, let me remember which one this is. Are all students required to take a core general education course with an in-depth focus on environmental awareness? Most universities are not going to put this, or not going to have it actually. Some universities are going to require that a student take a sustainability core course, but most of them have not. But if you do see one that does, make sure to put yes because it would be very interesting. But for typically all these, they're going to say no. Okay, and this is just the next page, just a little bit closer view. Okay, so also just a heads up when you're looking at it, if anything is highlighted over here, if a university is highlighted, it means they're sister schools, but they have different or independent sustainability entities. Some of them are, some of them aren't, actually. I've kind of gone back and forth. So if it turns out that you look at, and obviously Indiana University and Bloomington, they all have different offices or academic departments, meaning their websites aren't all based off of the same website, or their sustainability initiatives aren't shared, then you're just going to say yes. But if, for instance, these were all the same website, you would say yes, but you would need to go ahead and change this and say shared with sister school. So if these two universities had the same website, and some of them will, like SUNY in New York, some of those had the same website. Okay, as far as I remember. Okay, so a requisite, an higher education institution has to have an environmental sustainability entity, such as an administrative office, an academic program, not just sustainability related courses, because some universities will just say, oh, we have some sustainability related courses. That does not count. They can have those, but that will not be the requisite to get you in as a sustainable university, and or a research center. So some universities may no longer have sustainability entity or may not exist at all. If no sustainability entity exists, just change the column C response to no and then tell why, which I just kind of went over. But here's some of the responses. And of course, you can put whatever the wording doesn't have to be. As long as you explain it, I'm going to go through anyways and kind of go through and make sure that these fit into categories. But I just want to know, it's better to put as much information as possible than put too little information, because I can go, you're saving me time, so I'm still going to take some time. I have to take time to go back and check on these and then make sure that I have all my data in order. Okay, so the first part of the data collection instrument, this is not going to, I already have all this information. I used College Navigator to get all of this information, and that's how I got my list of higher education institutions in the U.S. that are four-year universities or colleges. So anything highlighted in gray does not have to be filled out or answered. This information has or will be gained from another source or was thought to not be relevant after research began, which is what I've already kind of discussed. Okay, so after that, the second part is going to be awards and affiliation. Okay, so in the awards section, this is A1 through A4. So how this is broken down is these are the columns, or this is based off of coding for me, and then the second bold ones are going to be the columns that you see on the top in Excel. So you'll be seeing this right here, whereas I have my own coding down here as well. So it does. I just put both just so when I'm going through and getting my data. Okay, so awards are sustainability awards and affiliations listed on the website. So some of them are going to be listed like we see right here where it says awards and recognition. And then others are just going to be, usually they are typically a page that will just list off different awards that they've received. A common one is Tree Campus USA, and another one, which I was talking about, is STARS. So I don't know if anybody's ever heard of LEED certified buildings, but those are buildings that have gone through a process, or institutions that have gone through a process to get their buildings certified, and they go through a checklist to make sure that they have met certain requirements. And that's what STARS is for higher education institutions. So ASHE is the American Association of Sustainability in Higher Education, and they are the people who run the STARS project. Okay, so yeah, you'll just do this. Some of these things, of course, if you want to, just go ahead and you can put these in the keywords. So you can say Tree Campus USA in the keywords section, but you don't have to as long as you cover this. Is the ASHE STARS award shown on the website? Yes or no? And then, if it is, tell me what type. So there's platinum, silver, this is bronze, and gold. And then again, I will figure this out. I will use this going into the STARS data system and looking at it. And also, just a heads up, what my dissertation is on is how universities are portraying themselves as sustainable to the public. So there might be something that's on campus, and that's fine, but if it's not on the website, then it's not getting portrayed as being sustainable or enough. It doesn't have priority of being sustainable to be on the website. And that's kind of the whole point, is this is supposed to be used to show where some universities are lacking. So, for instance, if there was a recycling program at USM and then we went on to USM's website and it wasn't on there, we're still going to put no, because there's going to be things like that happen where people are going to say, well, we have a recycling program, but it's not on the website, so it's not being shown to the public. Okay, this is also just another way that you'll see it. Awards and affiliations. One common one is going to be the American College and University President's Climate Commitment. If you want to, you don't have to write this out. I have done it in the past, but then after a while, and it's fine, I just write ACUPCC in the keyword section. And you can write these. These are networks. If you want to write statewide network, go ahead. Like I said, go as crazy as you want to with writing as many keywords as possible. I can go back. You're saving me time. And I'm going to have to do this anyways, where I go back through and find trends in my data collection. So it's write as much as you want to in the keyword section. Okay. Second part is institutional framework. Again, this one is not going to be common. This is based off of Taylor's study, and so I am not going in and looking at each university website to see if there's a written declaration linking education to environmental responsibility in their mission. So if you do see this, write it in there. If not, just leave it blank. I haven't even been putting no because I haven't been searching for it. J, has a staff office been established with a mandate to incorporate sustainability into various facets of institutional life, not just academic? So this does not, of course, obviously, an environmental sustainability department would have a staffed office, but that is going to be more faculty. So when I say staffed office, I'm saying Office of Sustainability, not a research center, not an academic department, a staffed office whose focus is to incorporate sustainability throughout the university. Okay, for K, it's going to be, or IF3K, it's going to be the difficulty of finding contact information to the HEI sustainability leadership. So the answers are either going to be easy, basically easy or difficult. Sometimes you'll use not available, but when you're going through, if you see sustainability at usm.edu, just go ahead and put it in the corner of your little notepad or your notes and say contact, check. If you do not see a contact for the academic department, if you have information or you have the contact information for the chair of the environmental entity, academic entity, that counts as being easy. And if you don't feel comfortable with this, I've already had to go through and try to go through all these 1,280 university websites and find contact information, and so I already have it. I can go back, and you're not going to have access to this, but sheet 3 in my workbook is going to be sustainability leader contact information. So you don't have to answer that one if you don't. If you see it, put it in there. If not, I can always go back in and search myself because I've already looked. Okay, and then IF4L is going to be, where is the sustainability entity housed, or does it stand alone? Okay, so if it is housed in an academic department, and there's going to be people answer in different ways, so just answer in your way. If it stands alone, put that. I've been putting stands alone as academic department, stands alone as staffed office, or stands alone as research center, or you can say it stands alone as an academic department. So if there is a whole sustainability program that's not built inside of an academic department, then you can put that. That's no problem. Or for both, if you see that they have a research center, they have an academic department, and a staffed office, then it's going to be both. So yeah. Let me make sure I went through all this. So yeah, you can leave that blank. Option stands alone as an academic department, research institute, and or staffed office. You can put in academic department. An example of that would be if there was an environmental science program in the biology department. And both is where there is a staffed office and academic department. Okay, faculty and staff development. Alright, for this, FD1M, is there one assigned sustainability leader or coordinator, director, or is it a collaborative effort, which could be an example would be committee. So it's either going to be one, which means that there's an assigned sustainability leader, and of course there's probably going to be multiple people that are working in whatever sustainability entity it is. But this first part with one means that it's going to be hierarchical, and that there's going to be a leader with others in lower positions. So if they had the sustainability office director, and then there were people under that listed on the website, that's going to be counted as one. Versus as collaborative focus on if there's not really, it's from people coming through interdisciplinary and different sections, and they're all working together. And there might be a leader of the committee, but I'm focused here on more of like it's an interdisciplinary. You've got one person who's in the physical plant office, and then there's one person who's in the environmental office and things like that. And then both is going to be, if the same with the last one, is if maybe you have, some people are going to have committees, And then they're also going to have an academic department that has sustainability in it. Okay, FD2/N is our workshops, webinars, seminars being held to educate faculty on how to integrate sustainable development, that's what SD means, into their academic or administrative work. Our department offices offered sustainability certification courses. Okay, so I added this second part, and that's why this is a little wordy. This is for faculty. This is not for students. So if it's like, oh, we have a sustainability workshop or a webinar series on how to have more sustainable student living, that does not count. There's going to be workshops and webinars for faculty members on how to integrate sustainability into their department or academic work. Though I can't remember, I was trying to find which one it was. But there was actually where you could get a green office certification, or there was a greening your syllabus program where academic faculty would go in and then they would work out their syllabus where there was some kind of sustainability aspect in there. Yeah, so, and here's an example. Penn State has a really good, typically they have a pretty good sustainability initiative on campus. So they have a green office program. This would be a good example. University of Georgia, they have a faculty development workshop focused on integrating sustainability into their curriculum. Okay, green office certification, workshops on how to green courses, etc. Alright, education structure. So this was, all students required to take a core general education course. Again, this isn't going to always, typically it's going to be no, or you can leave it blank if you never saw anything, but typically it's no, and that's why this has red on it, because I have found out after the first 10 web assessments that this isn't very common. How I kind of created this web assessment is I went through multiple different things. I used Taylor's study. I used the National Wildlife Federation has a campus ecology report that they go through, and it's kind of the same thing where it's kind of what I have, but it's being it's where the university does it, and that's the difference of why I'm doing something that's more systematic, because it's not going to be biased, and it's also going to be what is portrayed to the public. So that's I'm kind of jumping around, but I just wanted to give you an idea of where this web assessment came from. It's because I came up with it through Taylor's study, through the National Wildlife Federation. I used the STARS report, and the STARS report is actually extremely long. It's a self-assessment that you use. USM is part of STARS, but they have actually not done a sustainability assessment because it's extremely long. I thought me and the director were going to be able to do it alone, and it is where you have to have multiple people, and it takes over a year to kind of go through and do it. And then also there's a lot of things on the STARS report that aren't going to really be, there's no reason for them to be put on the website. It seems kind of irrelevant. Okay, so that one's typically not answered. This one's probably my least favorite part of the whole web assessment. So, ED2/P is number of environmental sustainability-oriented undergraduate majors at the higher education institution. Okay, so again, you might have to leave the sustainability website to answer, and this is the only time that you should leave the sustainability website pages to answer. And you don't have to, but typically it's easier just to go and look at the academic. I always put in University of Southern Mississippi degrees offered or academic programs, and then just go ahead on your piece of paper, and then I will write major and then minors and then go on and so forth, and then I just do dash tallies. And if you want, you don't have to put the names of the programs. If you want to put the names of the programs, you would do that in the keyword section, and I typically don't put, unless it really stands out, I don't put it in the keyword section. So for instance, I don't put environmental science or environmental biology typically in the keyword section. I would do something if it was like an environmental law program or something like that really stands out. So you'll do your number of environmental sustainability oriented undergraduate majors. Let's see. Can have environmental. Okay, so they can have, to pass this, they have to have an environmental sustainability related term, such as conservation, environmental, It can have ecology in it. That's fine. And environmental biology counts. Again, you might have to leave the page. That's fine. And I feel like I haven't had any hiccups with this, but if you see something different where it's not sustainability, conservation, environmental, or ecology, you can email me and ask me if it goes or not. But typically, it's pretty cut forward as long as it has to do with environmental sustainability. Most of all these also are going to deal with environmental sustainability, like I said. Okay. ED3/Q is the program inside one department, or is it the department, or does it not sit inside one department, meaning it's interdisciplinary? And it can be both. Typically, the program's website will say if it is interdisciplinary. And so it'll say, oh, we are an environmental studies program is typically, so a lot of places will have environmental science, which is more of the natural science aspect, and then you have the environmental studies aspect, which is going to be, they'll say, well, we took from multiple disciplines, so we have an environmental, it'll just be from different academic departments coming together and pulling in from different places. So the biology department might go in there, different departments. I can't really give a great example off the top of my head. So yeah, if it's inside the department, or if it is the department, you'll just put inside department. So if it's the Department of Environmental Science and Studies, that's inside the department. And then if it's interdisciplinary, you'll put both. If you ever feel nervous about this, just shoot me an email, but this is kind of like a wordy thing. But yeah, I feel like I explained that pretty well, I guess. Okay, and then go over to the next one. Does the university offer at least one sustainability-focused major degree program or the equivalent for graduate students? So do they have any environmentally sustainable graduate programs? So you'll say yes or no for this. I hate the wording in this, but I kept it the exact same because this was pulled from STARS. Oops. So it's just saying, does it have an environmentally sustainable focused graduate program? Just like this one, it's basically the same as this, except it's for graduates. And you'll say yes or no on this, and then don't worry about putting master's PhD here. You'll put that on T. And then ED5S is there an environmental sustainability focused minor, concentration, or certificate program? And you'll say yes or no, and then give me the number. If you want to put the type in, you can, or if you want to put that in the keywords, you can. It doesn't have to have type in there because some of these are going to have a lot of different programs, but I prefer to I've been putting type in there, but I'm not going to be, beggars can't be choosers. So I have these pictures. Sustainability concentration at Chatham University. This is a graduate certificate, and then you have the Harvard Sustainability Certificate, and that is going to be for this one. So you'll say yes, no, and then number. Alright, ED6T. This seems kind of out of order, but because it is, this probably should have been after ED4. But this is the number of sustainability-focused graduate level degree programs. And just give me the number. And then here is where you will write if it's a master's or PhD or both. So if they have an environmental science or environmental studies master's program, and then they have an environmental studies PhD program, those count as 2. Also, just a heads up for this one, number of environmental sustainability oriented undergraduate majors. If it has an environmental, I'm trying to think, because usually environmental science is going to be a BS degree, and then the environmental studies is going to be a BA. But if it has the same title, let's just say it is going to be, let's just use environmental science, and then it says that you can get a BA or a BS environmental science. I only count that as one major. Those are not two separate majors, because the only difference is going to be is one is going to have more natural science classes versus one is going to have more liberal arts and social science classes. So Typically, when you get a BA, the only difference is that you might have taken some foreign language classes, versus if you do the BS, you're going to take more natural science classes or statistics courses. Okay, yeah, and so ED6 slash T is just a kind of a second part to the ED4 slash R. Okay, and also on this, so I said environmental focused minor concentration or certificate program. Another option that you'll see with some universities that I didn't realize until I started doing my web assessments is that some universities like Santa Clara University are going to have sustainability pathways, which these are basically concentrations. They just use different words for them. And some universities are actually really cool with not really having degree programs. They'll just say, oh, we're a university where we let the students choose what their degree is going to be, and they create their own degree. And so there's no degree really. You either get a BA or a BS, and then the students kind of a la carte their whole degree. So on that, if you want to, you can leave everything blank and then just put it in the notes, and I'll go back and figure out how to do that if that does happen. That's only happened with 2 universities so far, and I can't remember which universities they are. But just make sure like you leave it in there, so when I'm searching through, I can go back and I'll be like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this. Okay, research. So education slash research. Note that this will not include publication from a single student faculty. I'll explain this in a second. So ED7 slash U is environmental sustainability research occurring on campus. So typically they will list off, you will just figure out if there is any environmentally focused research occurring on campus. And then you'll say yes or no. And then for this, it's not going to be a single publication. When you sometimes Google University of Southern Miss sustainability, on the Google search page, a couple of times it'll pull up where it'll just have like a faculty member from the university who wrote a paper on environmental sustainability. That does not count as being sustainability research. Or if one student, it shows up their paper on Aquila and it's like, oh, they did a little small topic on solar energy, that doesn't count it. It needs to be doesn't need to be a single publication or a biography. A lot of times that's another thing. It'll pull up as a faculty member's biography, or CV will pull up, and it'll say, oh, they did their master's thesis on environmental conservation in Florida or something like that. So that doesn't count. It will count if it's a green student. If you see it in a green student spotlight, which we'll go over later on the sustainability page, that would be considered research, and you can put that. And if you need to, like I said, put yes and then just right behind it in green student spotlight, and I can work through that. I would always rather have more information than too little information. Okay, so it doesn't have to have environmental sustainability term in the name. An example would be if there was research. Some research centers there's a alternative energy research center, and that doesn't have sustainability in the name, but obviously that is an environmental sustainability initiative. And then if it's a marine or water related sustainability research initiative, make sure to put that in the keyword section, because I'm kind of working on like different trends, and one of the things I want to focus on is water and water related conservation issues or efforts. And of course, because most of these places obviously are going to happen near bodies of water. So I figured out Florida has a large percentage of marine related sustainability initiatives because, of course, they're surrounded by water. Oops. Okay. ED8 is going to be, does the HEI have at least one environmentally sustainability focused research center? So a research center, it does not have to have sustainability or environmental or conservation in the name. It can be alternative energy, and a research center will mean it has a staffed office where their whole focus. I feel like this is pretty explainable. I mean, if you have any problems with this, let me know, but I think there's really not any other way to explain it besides there's just typically they have research institutes or research centers, or the Institute of environmental conservation or something like that, and then they discuss that their focus is research. And then ED9, is there a page where sustainability research themes or opportunities are listed? So if there's research, when I first began this, it was just if they had research opportunities listed. And then after that, I kind of figured out that I focused on themes. So if you can go onto the website of the university and you're a potential student and you're trying to figure out, you want to do something with sustainability, but you're not sure, the whole point of this is that you might not have a list of opportunities, but some universities will just say, like, these are our themes, and this is what we focus on, and this is what our faculty can offer. That counts, and that would be a yes. And then just put how many are listed. And honestly, when anything gets over 5, I just write multiple, because some universities are going to have like 30 research opportunities, and it gets crazy, and it's not going to be beneficial. But if it's over 5, it's either going to be under 5 or over 5. If it's under 5, write the specific number down, but if it's over 5, just write multiple. Examples of university research centers, you can use this, actually, So yeah, this would be a list of, and this isn't a university website, but it's pulled up. Harvard University Center for the Environment, Network for Business Sustainability. Arizona State University has a really good sustainability initiative, or multiple sustainability initiatives going on. And if you're confused about that, just feel free to email me. Okay, students. So this is dealing with on-campus experiences and student life. Alright, first one, this is long, and I just put it because it's Taylor's study, and so I was trying to keep the actual words. But it's saying, is there a student-based sustainability group? So is there a student-led sustainability group? Alright, and then, and social media pages count, so there really honestly might only be the Sustainability Club of University of Southern Mississippi or wherever. I just keep using that because that's where I go to school at. Student-based sustainability group, they have to be led by students. OC2 is going to be, does the university offer a sustainability-focused internship or ambassador program? This also includes eco-reps. So eco-reps is a common thing, and this is where students, they're gaining experience for after college. So sometimes there's just going to be a list of, like, the internship does not have to be on campus, but if it is offered, if they give you access to that internship, and you can intern while at that university, then that would be a yes. Or if you're an eco rep, that counts. And not all eco reps, I only use Tufts University because that's a really good one to use. Not all of them are going to be organized by fraternity or sorority, but it is really, that's another keyword that I've been looking for, is if it is a sorority fraternity led sustainability initiative, that's kind of a cool trend and something that's interesting to look into. Okay, OC3, are students awarded, recognized for being environmental or sustainability leaders by given the spotlight or profile? So oftentimes on a sustainability website, they will say, oh, these are our students that are our eco reps. Eco reps, if it's an eco reps, so this I said they can go together. If it says, like, ooh, learn about our eco reps, and it gives a biography of each of them, that counts as a student spotlight. Sometimes they're gonna give, they'll just say, ooh, this is our environmental leader of the month, or things like that. That's pretty easy to spot out. OC4 is there a section solely listing or discussing potential environmental or sustainability careers? Typically, this is going to be on the academic webpage. So for like an environmental science or environmental studies program, it'll say, like, ooh, careers, the section will be careers you can get with this degree. But it can also be on an Office of Sustainability webpage. Also for this one, for OC3, this also might be found, student spotlights might be given on academic department web pages. So for instance, an environmental science program, it might go through and say, this is what our students are doing, and, like, this is the research they're doing. For instance, when I was in the anthropology department, they did a biography of each student just to kind of show potential students what was going on campus. And some of these fit in with each other, of course. Okay, outreach and services. So, OS1 are their sustainability focused community service projects or collaborations at the higher education institution. So, this is their community outreach going on. And this does not have to be environmentally focused. It could be where they are focusing on poverty in the surrounding community, and that's a yes. And then also, again, some of these are it kind of helps. This is why I like using the notepad, because some things are going to go over each other, again, like I just said in the past slide. For instance, so later on I ask, is there a garden on campus? And some universities will have community gardens where the surrounding community outside of the university has access to that garden. That would be a community outreach project or community service project. Now, if it's just like, oh, this is our campus garden, or we're doing a university garden workshop for students, that's just going to be a yes, and your community outreach for that aspect would be a no. Unless, again, they might be doing something different with community service. But we're just seeing for this, I'm seeing if they're working with their surrounding community, because that's kind of part of my dissertation, is to see how important universities are to spreading sustainability outside of the university and into different areas. Alright, OS2, this includes but is not limited to forests, prairies, and or water restoration or conservation. So again, I said please in the keywords, if it's marine or freshwater conservation, list it in the keyword section, because that's something I'm focused on. And then forest restoration, they'll put that, some programs are going to have natural conservation, natural forest conservation programs, and that counts as a sustainability department in the academic section. But it would also be on this one. Also, some people are going to be like, well, we have habitat restoration projects going on in the surrounding area. A lot of times the universities will buy land off of campus, and then we'll focus on that, or they'll say, oh, we're working on trying to restore this creek, or creek not too 50 miles away, but it needs to be similar. It's not going to count. This will not count if they have a department where they're, because it's a surrounding natural environment. It will not count if they have a program where they're going to Honduras in the summer and then restoring the rainforest. That will not count. You can put that in the, you can say Honduras forest restoration, but that's not going to be a surrounding natural environment. It needs to be at least in the same state. But it doesn't have to be right next to the campus, but it needs to be close. Okay, an example, if you need to look, Duke has multiple conservation research centers. So the Duke River Center, and this is just kind of something I found, so if you needed some examples. Okay, operations. So operations are going to be focused with things like if they have eco-friendly buildings, if there's energy initiatives, water conservation, landscaping, where they're using native landscaping, or if they have a vegetable garden. Okay, so the energy is pretty easy. For LEED certified buildings, it'll either say that there's a LEED certified building, which I kind of explained that earlier. USGBC is who does that. And usually that's a quick thing. This is probably going to be the most common thing. Typically, if a university is sustainable or they have a sustainability initiative, most of the time they're focused on their operations system. So they'll be like, okay, well, we're sustainable because we have recycling. And then they might not have anything else. That's what some of these literally will either have just like one academic department, and then they might not have anything else, or they could just have a recycling program and that be it. And that's kind of like that's a big part of my dissertation, and so that's fine. And that's one of those universities that's going to be really easy to get through and get really, because after everything else you'll just put no basically. Okay, so and sometimes they might not be LEED certified, but they'll say, oh, well, we have eco-friendly buildings that have been built out of sustainable products. And this section's pretty easy. Sustainable energy initiatives, it includes but not limited to solar, solar power, wind power, bioenergy, things like that. If there's anything outside of these, just put it in the keywords, or if they even say bioenergy, put it in the keywords. Is there a recycling or waste management program on campus? This does not include composting. So I did not put a composting section in here. So if a university has composting, a lot of the times they're going to say recycling, and then they'll be like, oh, we also do composting. Composting is an important keyword, so make sure to put the composting in the keyword section. But if they only have composting and not recycling, this would be a no. OP3/AF would be a no. Water conservation efforts. This is not local water restoration. This is if they are using water conservation as they're not with their it would be like with their landscaping, or if they're trying to save water where they have water restrictors on their sinks and showers on campus. That's a water conservation effort. That's a pretty easy one. They'll say it pretty quick. Also, if they have like water bottle refill stations, that's a water conservation effort. But if you want to, go put water bottle refill station in the keyword section. Okay, so does the university have a sustainable landscaping program? This is where they're trying to pick plants that are often native or are drought tolerant, especially in California or like drier places, or they're trying to pick more pollinator friendly plants on campus, and they're just trying to be sustainable. Oftentimes they will say we are doing sustainable landscaping, or we are doing drought tolerant or native landscaping. Those are typically, so far I haven't found anything else, an example, or I can't at least think of an example. And then does the university have a vegetable garden? So some places will have edible gardens where it has like mints and herbs and things like that. I have not been counting that in this one. I just go ahead and put that in the keyword section. But if they have a vegetable garden, this includes rooftop and greenhouse gardens, then you'll put yes. And if it is rooftop or greenhouse and or edible garden, put that in your keyword section. Alright, dining services. This is a really easy one. So typically they'll say we're doing environmentally sustainable dining efforts on campus, and you'll just say yes with that. This one is the dining services page titled What We're Doing on Campus. This is a weird trend and forget all this, this is for me and for my committee, because they're going to say, where did this come from? So this picture right here, What We're Doing on Campus, it has soil and then it has a carrot. This is an Aramark thing. So some universities, the only thing they have, which they wouldn't count if they only had this, so they would have to have like a sustainability entity, and then the other thing that they might have is just this page that says What We're Doing on Campus. This is Aramark, and that's all. And Aramark setting it up, and their sustainability leader is somebody working with Aramark, and so I just think that's a really interesting thing. And I want to make sure that I get that in there and see what universities. It's literally, they're all going to have the same page. It's kind of just like a template. All right, transportation. Okay, TR1, and this is also, note that this is out of order and it seems repetitive. It is, but bear with me. So is there a transit program on campus? Which means do they have free or discounted bus passes to students, faculty, or staff? Or are they just talking about that there is a transit system that comes through the university or comes onto campus, that students, and they're like, we're promoting that. That's an example. So USM doesn't have a transit program on their own, but they have a transit program that comes that's controlled by the city of Hattiesburg that does come onto campus, and it is on, as far as I know, it's probably on the website. So yeah, and an example would be San Francisco. There was a university in San Francisco, and they were like, we have two different transit programs two different transit systems that come on a campus, and we think that you should use that instead of driving to campus. But yeah, they have discounted bus passes. That definitely counts. TR2, do they promote eco-conscious transportation? So if they do have an electric car fleet, a bike rental program, or a transit system, that is going to be a yes. But if they have anything else, I just want to know in general, are they promoting eco-conscious transportation? Zipcar is a thing that I did not know about, but since I have been doing my web assessments, Zipcar is a big thing, or like a car share program, which is, if they're even putting that, like, hey, you should use Uber share, like that would count. or if they've got walking paths, or if they're using electric scooters or anything like that. If they're using the electric scooters, put that in your keyword section, because I've figured out that that's kind of a big thing, especially in like bigger cities. Electric car fleet and or charging station. So yeah, they might not put that I was talking earlier, they might not say that they have charging stations around campus. At first, I had thought that that would be, if they were eco-friendly and they had charging stations, they would put that. But oftentimes they won't put that, but they'll just say, oh, we have an electric car fleet that's owned by the university, or a large percentage of our cars or vehicles on campus are electric car fleets, or we are using basically golf carts to go around campus. That counts. Alright, TER4 is a bike rental or sharing program. Also, or they promote biking. So even if they don't have a bike rental or sharing program, if they have the Bike Friendly University, this is an award or an affiliation, that would be it. Or if they're like, oh, well, we have bike repair centers around campus, or bike kit centers, where it's like basically you can fill your tires and like fix the flats and things like that, then that's promoting biking. Okay, transportation. Yeah, so I think I just note this section is alright. So I just went over and kind of used this to see. So yeah, transit discount, bike discounts, shuttle tracker. Harvard University has 6 hybrid vehicles for their police department. That would definitely be. They're also talking about reducing idling. Some universities are very big on not idling, so that would be promoting eco-conscious transportation. So this one should have gone first, and then these other ones are just to get more specific detail of how they're promoting eco-conscious transportation. And these 3 would be the most typical, but I wanted to know if there was anything else that I wasn't covering. Yeah, so commuter choice program. Alright, sustainability assessment and reporting. Alright, so if is there an environmental report made accessible through the institution website? So oftentimes universities are going to be self-assessing their sustainability initiatives, especially if they are part of the STARS report. They are doing this anyways, and a lot of times they will just go ahead and like give this information. It's typically in PDF form, where they'll say, oh, well, here's a PDF of 2016's, the 2015 to 2016 sustainability initiatives, and where we are now versus 3 years ago when we started this. Alright, so just like the transportation part, I'm just trying to gain basic information with this one. And then in the next one, in the AS2, this is just listing the ways that HEI is self-assessing its sustainability efforts. So if it's just saying, here's our sustainability report, you just can put yes and you don't need to put anything else. But if they're saying something very specific, and I can't really think of an exact example, but if something stands out, just put it in here. Or if there's multiple things that stand out, just put them right here. And then something that is specific that I wanted to put in here is if they are conducting an annual greenhouse emissions inventory that is made available. So again, right here, Stanford University has annual greenhouse gas emission inventory. Some people are going to have it. Some of them are going to be PDF form. Other universities might literally just put it on the webpage, where they have just statistics and charts and things like that of showing where, a lot of the times, they're comparing where they were a few years back and then like where they're going. And then also, if you want to, yeah, no, I don't even want to get into that. That's good. So an example will be Stanford. I put the link here if you need to go in and look. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free anytime to email me, or you can text me at my phone number. I didn't want to put that on this PowerPoint presentation because I don't know if it's going to be on YouTube, and I'm not trying to get creepers. Okay. Got that, etc. So etc. is anything, these are variables that were added after the web assessment began, and so I didn't want to take everything out of order because I'd already started, and then I'd already gotten ready to do my proposal. So these are going to be out of order, but they're things that I thought were important. So ET1 is, does the university look at social sustainability? Social sustainability deals with the social aspect of it's dealing with people. It's basically it's the quality of societies, and so you're trying to build a stronger society that will that will last long term. Alright, and then so ask, does the website say social sustainability or a similar term? It can be local or it can be international. If they're saying, oh, we're working over in South America to bring social sustainability, or it's like, well, we're trying to end poverty, or we're trying to allow women to have better access to education and birth control in South Africa. I'm like, then that counts. Examples would be like hunger or poverty. It doesn't have to be local. This would be in the community outreach aspect. I just want to see if they're looking at, and especially if they have a social sustainability academic department, please put that in the keywords. So when I started working on this, people were like, well, so you need to define sustainability, and it's really hard to do that, and because honestly nobody can really define sustainability. It's more arbitrary, like a concept. So I didn't want to focus on that, but most universities, when I put in sustainability in the first objective, everything pulled up environmental conservation or something similar to that. But there are universities that did have social sustainability, and so they were included. But I really want to make sure that I focus on these universities because they're taking more of a 3-tier approach. I imagine the University of Washington has an environmental sustainability entity, or I definitely know it does because it's in this assessment. But I want to make sure that we include that these universities are looking at social sustainability as well as environmental sustainability. And typically, in the same thing, typically economic sustainability is just kind of a given, but if they say that it's an MBA program in economic sustainability or economic and environmental sustainability, note that in the keywords. Okay, and then the notes and keywords is ET2 /AU. This is probably the most important variables. Okay, so yeah, this will be definitely the most important aspect. Alright, and like I said at the beginning, I typically enter the keywords in as I conduct the web assessment, or I'll just go through if I'm with my notepad, and I'll write hashtag next to all of them, and then I'll make sure that you type in any keywords that you think are important or pertain to sustainability, or you think is kind of interesting to the study. And then there will be trends to keep a lookout for. So keywords, when you think keywords, don't think of that we're doing like coding. You might use something, an example would be like religious. So religious is a word that I'm using, but if universities are saying like, oh, well, we're a religious university, and we practice sustainability because this is God's land and God gave us this and we should take care of it, so that's why we do that. That's an interesting trend of that's something that I find interesting. There'll be a section in my dissertation. So I put that. Eco tips, a lot of times they're not using the exact word eco tips. Let me go right here. And they might just have like different lists of like things that you could do to become more sustainable. That's just a word that I use that is eco tips. So if you don't use eco tips for it, you don't have to, but that's just a word I'm using. Triple tier approach. There's nobody saying triple tier approach right here, but I use the word triple tier approach because it's what's in the literature typically. Social media. You're not going to have sustainability with social media, but if they have a sustainability Facebook page, or their Office of Sustainability has a Twitter account or an Instagram, make sure to put in social media. A lot of the times on the sustainability office's website, at the very bottom, they'll have a little section that has Facebook link, a link to the Instagram, and a link to the Twitter account. Green purchasing. This is a term that you actually might see. So there will be things that you see on the website that you can just verbatim put in. Green purchasing is one of those. Composting, I like that. Stormwater management. This a lot of times is including in sustainable landscaping, but I just wanted to make sure it's going to be in the sustainable landscaping section, but I wanted to kind of get into more detail. That's where this really comes in. Green cleaning. This is where they're using eco-friendly cleaning products, and this is going to fit in the operations section of my dissertation, but it's not in there. I didn't want to have 100 variables. So, and most universities, a lot of universities aren't going to have these things, and so I didn't want to waste time. If it's a culinary institute that only has their department is environmental or sustainability focused a culinary program that's environmentally focused, that's a really interesting thing. Core curriculum that fits in with IF1/I at the beginning in the institutional framework, and that would be like, oh well, sustainability is in our institution's core curriculum. That's interesting. Partners or partnerships is where the university might list like statewide, and that's another thing. You can write statewide partnerships or collaboration with other universities. In Georgia, I think there's a couple of universities that are working together to do like a statewide sustainability in higher education, and that's interesting because that's universities coming together for the same mission. Fashion, if there's like a fashion program that's environmentally focused, or even if they have a fashion just sustainability related course, that counts. Sustainability or environmental architectures, again, really interesting if they have a program like that. Law goes in there. Medical, some hospitals, some universities who are medical centers, an example, like UAB's medical center, which is a university hospital. I don't think they do, but there are some hospitals out there that I've found that have sustainability initiatives, and I want to go back in, and that way it would be a section I can look, and they're using like sustainable hospital gowns and things like that, and it's really interesting. One section that I'm going to end up, or kind of what I figured out when I'm going through, is human-animal relationships in sustainability efforts in higher education. So vermiculture, where they're using worms through the composting, and they talk more about the worms. Pest management, that was one where they use that, pest management, and the example of that is barn owls. So there's a university in California that have brought barn owls in onto campus to deal with the rat problem, which is an interesting thing to do. Green student living, you can say green student living, you can say green residential living, green student communities. There's like a university in, I can't remember where, but they have like a whole like student community that is green. It's kind of like a model that they're using. And you have to apply to get into it. Volunteer, if they have this is a link, if you ever have a volunteer link or a donate link, put that in there. A lot of universities will ask they'll be like, oh, we have a link so you can donate to our environmental sustainability initiatives. Edible landscaping, marine conservation, I've talked about these, triple tier approaches, the electric vehicle fleet. If they have an environmental law program, or if they have an environmental law course, you can put that in there. Some universities have a green student pledge, where students will make a pledge before they graduate to be more green. There was a green graduation link, or a green graduation example, where students get green cords if they took so many courses in environmental sustainability and maybe interned and did like certain things that were environmental, and that's an interesting thing. Social media, again, if they have a Facebook or anything like that. Okay, so for this, keywords, it can be anything you think is important to sustainability. It doesn't have to just be environmental sustainability. It can be social sustainability, or if they have, like I said, an economic sustainability focus, put that in there. I can always take things out, so don't worry about going overboard. I would rather you put as much as possible and then not put anything in. And these can be long. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, I have extremely long list of keywords in the keyword section. More detailed keywords, again, this is the President's Climate Commitment. You can put that, or you can put the APUCC or whatever I said earlier. If they have local owner-operated farms and ranches where they're like, oh, we have dining, but we're also getting our eggs from a locally sourced, or our eggs are locally sourced, or our produce is locally sourced. That's interesting. Eckerd College in Florida has Scooby-Doo, which is a water or a water conservation project, and I'm guessing it's a Jewish ran program. Shark Conservation Center Club, that is a student club that's shark conservation. That's interesting. Or if you just see a quote that's important. So Eckerd College says campus is a living, breathing environment, and that's a interesting way to look at that. Or it's not even really interesting, it fits, but Those are important. So, and these are just more examples. So, yeah, kind of jump through that. All right. So, does the university offer research funding for environmental sustainability students in their research? Environmentally sustainable students in their research. So this is not if the research funding offered to students for research. This does not mean grants given to the university or research center. So if they're like, oh, we received this NSF grant for solar research, that would be a no. But if it says, hey, we have a green fund program for students, anybody that's wanting to do research on sustainability or something environmental, we have a program where you can get money as a student for that research. That would be a yes. On-campus apiary, that is a B thing. So if they have honeybees on class, or if they have a beekeeping class or a certificate, then put yes. Alright, AX and AY, these are confusing, but once you get it, it's a little wordy, and I had to kind of figure my own words for this. So let's just make sure we have this down. Okay, and a lot of times it'll be both of them. They kind of go hand in hand sometimes. Alright, AX are sustainability related courses and or programs that don't have sustainability, environmental, conservation, or similar term listed on the website. Alright, so this can be a course or it can be a program that is, an example again would be like, you could get a certificate in alternative energy studies. That doesn't have sustainability, environmental, or conservation in it, but obviously it has something to do with it. Or if it said alternative energy is like a big one that I just always think of. But that would be an example. If it doesn't have those words, but obviously it has something to do with the environment, that is going to be a yes. Then whereas AY, it says, does it have a list of sustainability related courses without a sustainability degree program? It doesn't have to be a list, but if they have sustainability related courses that don't have a program, that's a yes. So they might just say, a lot of universities will be like, we have 5 different some of them will say sustainability related courses, and so we have a couple of sustainability courses that you can take, but it won't be in a department and you won't be able to get a degree in it. And this is really interesting because even if a university doesn't have, of course they have another entity, but just because they don't have a sustainability academic department doesn't mean that you can't take courses at the university. And this will happen. It's kind of it's an interesting thing. So you can have sustainability or similar term, but it doesn't have to have a program. And they're independent courses. Okay, and then AZ, you typically will not answer this. The only time you will put A+, you don't even have to put NA. The only time you'll put A+ on this is if you feel like this university hits all the marks and is like the epitome of an environmentally or even social, it would be environmental, sustainable program or sustainable institution. If they are really just killing it on sustainability, Penn State University is going to be an A+, for sure. But if you don't, typically this isn't going to, I think I've gotten like 4 so far, but it's just, when I go back, I want to be able to be like, okay, I need to look at these and use these as case studies. Alright, and then issues. So just when you're going through this, these might be some issues. This was UBC, I don't know exactly, University of British Columbia. Obviously this isn't a U.S. university, but somehow I was able to pull this up when I was looking at social sustainability. If you see the link and then you click on it and it says access denied because you're not a student, that doesn't count because that's not like the public can't see this. So if I was going to go to apply at the University of British Columbia, I can't look at their social sustainability page, so it does little for me. Or if it says page not found and the page is down, that doesn't count. So even if you see when you go to your Google and it says that there is recycling at UBC, and then you go to click on it and it says, sorry, the page is down, we'll be back in a few months, or the page is under construction, or if it says page not found, then just put no and then comma page not found. But if it says like, ooh, our sustainability page is under construction, I know I've found that out, I put no and then say page under construction, and that way I can go back at the end of all of this. Hopefully they've gotten their page fixed and I can give them credit for having a recycling program. So if the site is under construction, just note it. Alright, from here, so if you want to do this, after this, I will email you an Excel spreadsheet with 50 higher education institutions. I've already broken them down, and note that if you complete the 50 web assessments and you want more, just contact me, and I'll send another set of 25 to 50. It just depends like where we are and like what I have available. I'm also going to email, when I give you the Excel spreadsheet, I'll email you the web assessment tool PDF. If you don't have, so basically you need Excel to do this, but if you don't have Excel or you don't want to use Excel, you can do this on paper, or you can use the web assessment tool. If you're doing this all on your computer, you can just go ahead with that Word document with the web assessment tool and create another column to the left and then answer it that way. And I'll go ahead and put everything in. If you wanted to do all of this on notebook paper and then like scan it for me, that's fine as well. That counts. That's a valid web assessment. It's up to you. If you don't have if you don't want to do it through Excel, that's totally fine. Okay, so the competition for this is whoever conducts the most valid web assessments. Valid means, like I'm going to have to go back and double check to make sure everything's correct because this is going to be in my dissertation. So I'll be going and checking, and the most, please, when I say valid, I'm saying like I don't think anybody that's going to take the time to do this would just go in and like fill out this without really doing the web assessment. But I have to double check, and if you did do that for some reason, it's not going to count. And I'm like, well, I can't use that. That web assessment's not going to count. And then I have to go in and check all of them to make sure they're right. And so whoever conducts the most web assessments by August the 23rd receives $150. And this will be at cash, or if like you're not in town, I can send you a check. And and I'll probably end up doing, it depends how far I get by August the 23rd or how many web assessments are done. But after August 23rd, I might reopen this again and then do another prize or another competition. And so anytime that you're confused about anything, or if you have any questions, email me anytime, or you might have to email me the first time and then say, hey, can I just have your phone number? And you can send me a text and I will answer as soon as possible. Be like, oh no, if you are confused at all, and you're like, and you can't get a hold of me, and you don't feel, you just don't want to get a hold of me, leave it blank. If you're confused, I can always go in. You're saving me a ton of time, so I can always go in and figure that out on my own. Please try to make it. The point is that this needs to be systematic and accurate. And then for this little asterisk down here, this is, I highly doubt this will happen, but just to cover myself, if before August 23rd all the web assessments are completed, the prize will go to whoever has completed the most web assessments by that date. I highly doubt that'll happen, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so thank you very much, and yeah, email me or text me if you have any problems.